The Garnet and Old Show. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. The old part of the show is not with us here. He is at a dinner right now, I think, with his company. So Vince will not be joining tonight, but you got Big Papa East. You got all the fans, the hundreds and hundreds of fans of Garnet and Old watching live. So if you guys wouldn't mind, help a brother out, hit the like and subscribe button, share it out, and help me out. Be my co-host tonight. I need a co-host. So hop in the comment section. Let me know what you want to talk about tonight. Let's get Florida State and Garnet and Old off to the good track tonight. So I miss Vince, though. I'm not going to lie. Vince, let me tell you something about Vincent for a second. I'm a little soapbox. Vince is a classy guy. Vince is probably an even bigger knoll than me. He wears it every day on his sleeve, nonstop. Papa Bear over here, take a little day off, take a snooze, and then get back into it. Vince, never out, man. In every sport, he is locked in on every sport. Now, we are going to cover a few things tonight. There's some discouraging news. There's some positive news. There's a lot going on. But no matter what, you're with your boy, Big Papa East, and we're going to have a good time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about memberships. We are going to do another members-only show soon. So if you want to watch our members-only shows, which there are a bunch already in the library, go ahead and hit the join button. Pick your level. You get a few custom emojis. You get a lot of things that are custom just for you becoming a Garnet and Old member. Let's get started off. Now, originally I had this show in a slightly different order, but something happened today that pissed me off. I'm just going to be real. And it might be a little bit more PG-13 or R-rated today, just because without Vincent, I feel like I'm like unleashed, like the chains. Oh, Vince, hold me back. So I'm a little pissed off about something. Let's talk Cam Brooks. Cam Brooks, very good athlete, 4-star. Some have him potentially going up to a 5, but 4-star. Local in the area, a 30-minute drive from your local Tallahassee district from Florida State, right around the corner. So Florida State doesn't pursue him at all. No, doesn't offer, doesn't engage. Then he goes on and he commits to Cal. Then Florida State says, oh my God, let's offer him. Well, I'm pissed. Okay. It's a bad look. We already knew that part of the story, though. That's nothing new. We knew that Florida State was not really feeling it until all of a sudden Cal was in the mix. He commits to Cal, and then now we're interested all of a sudden. Well, we got some interesting new developments today. So Cam Brooks gave an interview with 247, and I'll give you some of his feelings. He, first of all, let everyone know that in his opinion, FSU really didn't want him, and they only offered him once he got committed somewhere. But we already knew that. But he elaborated a little bit, and this is the part that pissed me off. This is a quote from Cam Brooks today. He's referencing why he's going to go ahead and do the weekend visit to Florida State still. Quote, I think I'm going to end up doing it because my mom wants me to. If it was up to me, I probably wouldn't be doing it, if I'm being honest. She still wants me to hear them out. She's a firm believer in second chances. She's just one of those people. End of quote. So Cam Brooks, local talent, is telling the world, if it was up to me, I would not be going to Florida State, not even interested in visiting. But my mom's making me. Not what you want to hear when insiders, are telling, outsiders that Florida State's very much in the mix and still wants to get some on campus and everything. Very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Now, one thing I find interesting is that Cam Brooks, although he is talented, he's not a I wouldn't say he's a once in a generation player or anything like that, but he's a good player. But what pissed me off is that how bad that makes us look. Other players, guys, if you don't think other players in the recruiting classes keep an eye on what other players also in their recruiting classes are talking about, they do. So when Cam Brooks comes out and says, I wouldn't go unless my mom made me, uh, that sucks. It sucks because it's a absolute death shot, in my opinion, to the recruiting aptitude of Mike Norvell and staff. And it shows a cluelessness that we have to wait until, first of all, it's Cal. Okay. It's not like, man, he committed to Ohio State. Okay. Ohio State's great. But it's Cal. We should, for a local kid, win that battle 10 out of 10 times. Okay. Just put yourself in the shoes of two schools reach out, Florida State and Cal. Where are you going to go? Okay. But imagine if you're a recruit and your local team, Florida State, doesn't reach out and Cal does, and you're like, well, I'm going to take Cal offer. At least they want me. And then Florida State contacts you, you're going to be pissed off. It reminds me of growing up, like when you're in high school or in college, there would be this girl that you always had a crush on or had tried to flirt with in class, and she kind of never really seemed like she was interested, or even maybe told you like, yeah, I'm not in a place where I want to date right now. And then you start dating someone else, and then she's like texting you or emailing you and all over you, flirting with you, saying, oh man, I really did like you. And you're like, well, why didn't that can't be real, because if you did, you would have liked me before I started dating this other girl. That's what Florida State's doing. Florida State's the jealous second girl who didn't flirt immediately and now is mad because someone else got them. It's a bad look on the university, and it speaks to what I feel more and more. And guys, I'm going to be as honest as I can be, and I'm usually the positive one or the more positive one on the show. More and more, I get just the gut feeling that this is going to end badly. It's not just this one thing. There's been a few things going on for years now in recruiting. Then you go 2-10. And then, listen, whatever you think of Gus Malzahn, okay, like him, dislike him, I think he's fine as an offensive coordinator. I think at one point what he'd like to do was extremely innovative, clearly, when he was at Auburn. But I wouldn't say he's some like genius guru who's man, if you put him in your offense, if you get him in your team, it's going to win. He's a fine coordinator. Do I think he's an upgrade from Alex Atkins as an offensive coordinator? Of course. Alex Atkins wasn't an offensive coordinator. He was by title only, but he was an offensive line coach, and come to find out, not a very good one. But Gus is fine. To be honest with you, I'm actually really like Tony White from Nebraska. And you can tell when you really like another coach when your team hires them with how you had an opinion of them before they were ever mentioned or rumored to be joining your team. Because it's real easy once an OC or DC or any assistant coach, once you hear they're in the rumor mill for your team or they hire them, it's real easy to be like, yeah, they're great, they're amazing, and you kind of hone in on the positives and you might kind of ignore some of the problems that they had. So if I rewind to a year and a half ago and you said, what do you think about Gus Malzahn? I would be like, well, I think he's a good offensive coordinator, not a very good head coach. There's a reason why he's at UCF and not in the SEC anymore. That would be my opinion of him. So if someone says, well, what do you think it would be best for his career? I would say, well, probably a low-level school like UCF or below as a head coach, or at best as a analyst or an offensive coordinator at a like mid to upper crust, maybe not upper crust university, but like an analyst. Like, hey, if he was an analyst on Bama staff, I'd be like, yeah, makes sense, right? But I would not have been like, yeah, home run hire for anyone who wants him as an offensive coordinator. However, if you rewind a month and a half ago and asked, what do you think about Tony White in Nebraska? I would be like, well, I could tell you that Nebraska's offense is trash and it's hard to watch, but that defense plays really hard and they don't have a lot of talent. They have a lot of effort, a lot of hustle guys that ended up being good players, but they were not stocked with 5 stars. So it appears that he gets a lot of out of these guys, regardless of their recruiting rankings. He doesn't almost in spite of the recruiting rankings. He gets a lot of effort. So that would have been my opinion a month and a half ago, and that opinion hasn't changed now that they're on staff. I'm still way more excited about Tony White as defensive coordinator. I still think he gets his guys and all the coaches that are with him. They get their guys to be passionate and play with a lot of heart and hustle. And I still feel the way about Gus Malzahn. I think he is an upgrade. It would be impossible, in my opinion, to argue that he's not an upgrade from Alex Atkins. But to be fair, Alex Atkins was never calling plays. He was a glorified offensive line coach. So what you really have to ask yourself, and here's where I struggle with this, and tell me what you guys think in the comments. I really want to know this. Okay, I won't even say take the 2-10 season out of the mix, but take it in consideration when you add up all the seasons that Mike Norvell has been here. The good, the bad, the in between, right? We've been all the way from 4 to 10 to undefeated to 2 wins. Okay, so it's been all over. It's scattershot. But take all of that. Who, if you were giving a opinion to it, let's say I'm going to just pick Michigan. Let's say your buddy who went to Michigan texts you and says, "Hey, we are rumored to be hiring an offensive coordinator soon. The 2 names that is rumored for the offensive coordinator job here is Mike Norvell and Gus Malzahn. Who would you guys pick, or tell that guy? I would kind of go this way, because I would argue, despite the 2-10, which I think was more, and I'll get into what I actually think last year was, just purely offensive systems and running it, very similar systems, not exactly the same. You could argue that play calling wise, over the last 5 to 7 years, that Mike Norvell has had a more modern and a better offense in totality, where he's been at Memphis and at Florida State, than Gus Malzahn being at UCF as a primary play caller. Now, you could argue Gus has had better rushing numbers. I don't think anyone would argue, but if you took rushing, passing, explosive plays, total yards, touchdowns, total offense, I don't have the figures. I maybe should bring that to the table next time. Here's what I would tell my friend if he was a Michigan fan and said, Mike or Gus for offensive coordinator is coming to Michigan. Who would you think is better? I honestly would say they're about the same. So here's where that puts us in a weird position. Was last year 2-10 a result of poor play calling? Now, keep in mind, it's easy. All fan bases do this. Oh, that was a terrible play call. That was and they can point to individual plays and how bad that was. It happens on every team. Good offensive coordinators on good teams, you still have plays that are like, what are they thinking? I don't understand. Okay, it happens, guys. Not every play is going to be successful. But was 2-10 a result of a poor play calling or a playbook or system? Or was it a result of poor recruiting and poor evaluation of the portal? I would argue the latter. I would say 2-10 is 90% bad evaluation on portal players as far as how they fit in your offense, and poor recruiting over many years in the high school ranks. So here's where I have an issue coming up this season, and it puts me in a why I go back to what I said, which is, guys, I'm really worried that this thing is going to blow up badly. If in my mindset, I don't believe Mike Norvell and Gus Malzahn are that much different as play callers or playbook wise, then you can't really be like fist pumping at Gus Malzahn and say he's going to be an upgrade from Mike Norvell, because Gus Malzahn's not going to change drastically. It's not like he can recruit 4 years worth of high school players in 1 year, okay? And we're not doing a good job even with him here recruiting. So what you're left with is an interesting idea. Which Mike/Gus offense are we going to get? Are we going to get 2020? Are we going to get 2003 Mike? Are we going to get 2025? 2024 last season, 2023 undefeated, 2022 10 wins, 2021 pretty bad. Okay, so what is the difference between those seasons? The only difference between, take out the COVID year, between all Mike Norvell seasons, guys, every one, the playbook didn't change, Mike Norvell didn't change, scheme, nothing, coaching staff, nothing. So you have wildly different results. The only common thread is how do they evaluate the portal? And did they hit a home run, a double, a triple, or strikeout? Okay, you can argue going into the 2023 season, home run, right? Johnny Wilson, okay? Man, I'll be honest with you, when Johnny Wilson was announced, me and Vince both were like, who knows? Who knows? He wasn't like this massive production machine, before he came in here. The only one that we were, all thrilled about is in the NFL right now, right? Good players, good evaluation. Every year that we had, even if we had holes and gaps because of high school recruiting, man, think of all the players that we hit home runs after home run after home run after home run in the portal. And then last year, boom, it sucked. We struck out. The portal evaluation was terrible. I was on this channel this time last year saying, I'm not a big DJU guy. I don't think he's good. I would have preferred Cam Ward. Even if they hadn't gotten him, I would have preferred them not go get a quarterback than get DJ. I would have rather them just run with Brock Glenn from the start of the season, and you can't imagine the results would have been much worse, okay, than get DJU, who I think is actually awful quarterback. So what are you going to get this year? Gus is not running that much of a different offense, guys, than Mike Norvell, scheme-wise. So what you have to, the only question that will either make or break Mike Norvell still being here after the season or fired after the season, the only difference, I contend, is how they evaluated portal guys coming in this year. And that's scary. And that leads to discussions when your friends come to talk to you of when friends that are not Florida State fans, or even family that's Florida State fans, and they ask you, how are the Noles going to be this year? And you tell them, I have no clue. I've told multiple friends they could go 2 wins or they could be a 10-win team. Neither would shock me. One would be I would be happier about, of course, but neither would shock me. Any win total in between 2 and 10 wins would not shock me at all. And that's crazy, but that's what happens when you are going all in and betting everything on your season on portal hits or misses. It's completely unknown. Guys, we won't know until 3 or 4 games in the season if this is going to be a horrible season or an amazing season or an average season. We won't know. None of us. No media, not War Chant, not 247, Tomahawk Nation. No one will know until a few games in. Because I don't think Alabama, even if we were to lose to Alabama, no one's going to be like, man, we're going to suck the whole year. It's Alabama. They still have good players. Like, no one's going to be mad, like overly mad if we lost 35 to 17 against Alabama. Everyone would be like, yeah. If we won that game, I think that actually you wonder, okay, is DeBoer in trouble? Is Alabama in trouble? That'll be more of a talking point than I think Florida State being, back. So what do you guys think? It really comes down to this whole season, his whole career at Florida State comes down to portal hit or miss. My thoughts are portal miss. That's my educated guess. And by educated guess, I mean the players we brought in the last 2 cycles, last year and this year. Look how many running backs are in the running back room. We have elite high school talent. We have really good transfers. They still felt the need to go out and get a, top level running back in the portal. Why? Why did they do that? It's because they have twice as many running backs as half the teams in college football. And they're still like, that's concerning. Let's get to Castellanos. I think the clearest way that you can project Castellanos is not to watch his final season at Boston College because, as you know, the offense completely changed. They were trying to make him more pro. Go back and watch his 23 highlights. Now, you're going to, if you just type in Castellanos 23 highlights, you're going to see a lot of plays that you're like, oh, it gets me a little, get a little excited. But what you'll come to realize, watch the highlights, the whole thing. It's like a little 12-minute video that Boston College put out there, right? A lot of exciting plays, and you're like, wow, that could work in Gus's offense. Look at him run. Look at him go. A couple deep balls. Wow, look at that. That was a nice throw. As you know how the highlight packages are, it's like game 1 and then game 2, and there's like 2 minutes on game 1, 2 minutes. You'll see the exciting play, but then you'll get to the final exciting play of that game. And if you look, in every game, they're getting blown out. So it'll be like Castellanos, 45-yard run for a touchdown, 7-0 Boston College. And then the next highlight in the package in the same game is Castellanos with a bomb touchdown throw to give them 14 points, but the other team has 38. And there's 2 quarters separating the 2 plays. And you're like, well, what was Castellanos doing between the very beginning of the first quarter where the first highlight was, where they got their first touchdown, and the end of the third quarter where he had his next exciting play and got another touchdown? There's a whole lot of average in there. Okay. And it replays like that throughout his entire highlights package. And in those highlights, he's running a very similar RPO offense that we're going to run here. And so what you have to ask yourself is, under Gus, clearly Gus was excited about him, can we still get those really amazing plays in his highlight package? If you watch his 23 highlights, there's a couple plays where you go, wow. There's some looks like Jordan Travis getting out of the pocket, scrambling. But if it's only 3 plays a game that he does something like that, and the rest is just an average quarterback, we're in trouble. So the hope is that in a Gus system, and Gus has had quarterbacks that overachieve and underachieve in his system, can that hold up an entire game and score you a bunch of points? Can it hold up the whole season? Can he stay healthy? If we start tanking, let's say we lose to Alabama, we win the next 2 games because they're pretty easy games, but then we lose 2 in a row. Well, the guy just said screw you to his old team and was like, I'm leaving Boston College in the middle, pretty much in the middle of the season last year. Does that happen here if Florida State is lost 3 games in the first 6? I don't know. So you have to ask yourself this. You're putting all your chips on the table, saying if you are a betting man and you bet on Florida State to have a good winning season this year, above 6 wins, that is going to be based upon a lot of the portal transfers were a hit, and Castellanos has a breakout season where he's more consistent and makes electric plays consistently. If you are a pessimist, or not even a pessimist, let's say maybe you're usually an optimist, but you just don't, you have to see it to believe it. if you're feeling under 500, your bet is that you might have a few hits in the portal, but maybe it's not going to be all of them. Not nearly what we got lucky with a few years ago. And Castellanos is exactly what he has been, which is like sometimes electric, sometimes average, sometimes throwing the ball below average. Guys, I'm telling you, my prediction for this season, I'm not going to give a specific total, is an absolute collapse or a shocking number of wins. I don't see Florida State going 7 or 8 wins. I see Florida State either being below 500 or above 8 wins and being in contention for the conference. That's how razor's edge I think this is. And me personally, I lean more towards the under 500, and Mike Norvell loses his job at the end of the season. And we did a wins and losses post spring prediction. And you guys, if you watched it, would know I'm under 500 for the year. 5-win season. I said Mike Norvell gets fired. Vince at the time says he did not agree with my win loss total, but he said even if they went 5 wins and they got under 500, that Mike Norvell would not be fired. I think that's impossible. I think Mike Norvell would be fired for anything at 500 or below. What do you guys think? What do you guys think is going to happen? Does Mike Norvell hit on his portal players this year? And is Castellanos play above what he's done so far in college football? Because that's the whole season, guys. That's it. Those are the keys to the game. That's my inside information for the day. Let's put up some comments here. Kenny, when asked about the if both were offensive coordinators, who he would prefer, says Gus, more experienced. You're just talking total tenure in college football. So yeah, if that's your kind of like weight there, then yeah, okay, I can see that. Doyle, who's always watching the show, watching some baseball. Texas Tech 1, FSU 0. Sounds early, so I'm not too worried yet. Thank you, Doyle, for watching no matter what. All right, so I actually want to talk about, you guys know me, I like to have a little bit of fun. We know Calvin Russell, right? Visit locked in. Good news. Hope we get him. Betting man, I don't think we get him. Guys, I don't know if you can tell, but I believe that a head coach is what a head coach is. Like if any team hires a head coach, if that guy is a recruiting monster the first 2 years, it's hard to sustain like an amazing level like that because you get a lot of hype when you first come into any school. But if, let's say, someone comes in, they're a recruiting monster, they're probably still going to be a very, very good recruiter the entire time they're there. Maybe up until the point, maybe if something starts to go south and they're under 500 and they get canned. Good recruiters are good recruiters. Jimbo Fisher, no matter how many average-ass seasons he had at Texas A&M, was a good recruiter every single year he was there. He knows how to recruit. I don't think Mike Norvell can recruit with some middling teams like UCF or USF. I think Mike Norvell is a terrible recruiter. And so anytime I see 4 or 5-star guys locking in their visits, I never get my hopes up. Because it seems like every single year in the offseason, we've gotten a ton of visits. We get visits all the time. They love to come visit. They know how to take the visit. They just don't know how to capitalize off the visit. They're really good at setting up the visit. They invite people over. You know what? It's like an Airbnb. They have really good pictures on their site. A competitive rate, pricing wise. People come stay, but there's something about when they stay. Hey, maybe it's the sheets, low thread count. Maybe it's the toilet paper. Man, Walmart toilet paper for this price. Something when these players get on campus, the elite players, doesn't stick. And I believe you don't fundamentally change what a head coach is, especially after going 2-10. It's not going to help matters. But Mike Norvell is not a good recruiter. Gus Malzahn is not an elite recruiter. So you have to hope probably your best recruits would be on the defensive side, because I do think you have some fun, youthful, relatable coaches on the defensive side of the ball. Guys, I just think I don't think it's happening. We all saw the setback with Lamar Brown too. It's just the hits keep coming, man. It's we see Miami getting elite commits, 5-star commits, and all these other programs getting 4 and 5-star commits, and we get nothing. We'll get like a 3-star 2027 commit. Yeah, and you're like, fantastic. When Mike Norvell's not here and that kid decommits. I'm a little bit down. I'm a little bit grumpy with the recruiting efforts. I'm a little bit grumpy with tired of talking about that we can't get a top 10 class to save our lives. It gets old. All right, I do want to bring up a few more things involving the Bama game. I'm getting more excited about the Bama game, despite me being pessimistic or down on the team coming into the season as far as what I think will happen. I'm excited about the Bama game for multiple different reasons. First of all, it's a chance to get together with your fellow Knowles. It's a chance to tailgate and have some drinky poos, get a little tipsy. It's a chance for me and Vince to do a fantastic Garnet and Old Show for all you guys. A lot of positives. Love Tallahassee. Don't love the hotel costs. Guys, if you love Florida State and you're considering, maybe we should go to that game, before you make a decision on if you're going to go to the Alabama-Florida State game, and I know some people will be like, yeah, this is a tired talking point. Go on hotels.com right now and search that weekend for Tallahassee and tell me what you see. And you might be like, well, yeah, it's always a little bit expensive for games, even big games. Usually what expensive means in Tallahassee is like, man, it sucks. I really don't want to spend $500 a night for that room. Right now, some of the hotels that I would normally say that about are $2,000 a night. $2,000, meaning I'm not staying in a hotel in Tallahassee. Guys, there was like the shitty days in, okay, it was like $400 a night. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not going to happen. No way, not no how. So before you make your mind up, if you're going to the Alabama-Florida State game, look at the hotel prices. It sucks. But the game itself, 3:30 kick, a lot of people were pissed off about that. I'm like, whatever. Guys, 7 o'clock kick, 3:30, noon. It's going to be August in Florida. It's going to be hot. It's going to be steamy. Even if it was a night game, it would have still been miserably hot and humid. Okay, so that is what it is. I don't find that. In fact, I think because of the hotel prices being horrible, I'm happier it's an earlier game because after the game, I'll just go home. Instead of a night game where if the hotel price sucked, I would be like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'm going home and not getting home till 3 a.m. So that's a positive. But also, I mean, how often do you use Bama coming to Doak Campbell? That's awesome, man. It's good for the community. It's good for all the shops. It's good for the bars. And everyone in Tallahassee benefits from that game. So I also might be bringing my brother-in-law, who's a big Alabama fan. Now, he's not one of those Alabama fans that's going to like be obnoxious and like miserable with you at the game. He's a really cool guy, loves Alabama, but is not a obsessive homer. So he'll be like, that was a good play at Florida State, even if it's against Alabama. So it'll be fun, just kind of keep it within the family, 2 different rivalries and everything. But I'm really excited about the game. I'm not gonna lie. 3 outcomes I see happening. One, to me, will leave me very worried. If we get steamrolled, like not even close, not competitive, over by the second quarter, I'm going to tweet out. I'll go on X that night and say Mike Norvell is not going to be around by the end of the season. I will make that prediction because even if Florida State doesn't have the athletes 1-for-1 for Alabama, I think the frontline talent at Florida State, pound for pound, should at least be able to put up a fight and keep the game somewhere in the 35-21. Hell, even like a 37-28. Make it a 2 or 3 touchdown game. Respectable loss. If you go out there and you lose 55-7, like some of the games we saw last year, that means you're not even close. And if that's the case with Alabama, who it's not like it's a Nick Saban Alabama team, they did take a step back, and I actually think they'll continue to take a step back under DeBoer. If it's not even competitive, I'm going to be like, guys, we might as well start picking our coaches from the wheel here. It's over. If we keep it competitive and lose by 2 or 3 touchdowns, I'll be like, yeah, that's kind of like my predicted outcome. And I'll be like, okay, there's still hope. Hopefully we get wins against teams that we should get wins against, and hopefully we win a couple toss-up games, and that's how you get over 500. That's how you get to 7, 8 wins. If we were to win that game, I would say, wow, okay, they must have hit on a lot of portal guys. Castellanos would have to, for us to win, have to play really, really, really well. So that pretends good, and I think we're going to have a winning season. At that point, I would say I think we will have over 7 or 8 wins. Not 10, not 11, not 12, but over 7 or 8 wins if we really won that game. So that's where my mind's at right now. I think it's going to be tough. I predict we'll keep it competitive, and I think it'll really Mike Norvell's career here will really come down to if we can win some of those coin toss games, or even if they're slightly skewed against us games. Like if you can go out and you can beat either Miami or Clemson, even if you lose to Alabama, if you can beat either Miami or Clemson, or beat Miami and Florida, lose to Clemson and one other team on the schedule, something akin to like, okay, we really look bad there, but we look good there against a different rival. But if you go out there and you just lose to Alabama, lose to Miami, lose to Florida, Clemson, it's over. Because one of those, if you're that bad that you can't win one of those toss-up games, you're also probably going to lose 1 or 2 to one of the teams that you should beat. So that's where my mind's at. Let's give the comment section here. Let's give some love to the comments. Joe 43 Florida writes, my friend, we all know the rules of college football. Money matters. Hard to compete against the money the SEC and the Big Ten make that corrects recruiting. So I'm going to push back a little bit on this. Yes, money does matter, but in the current setup of NIL, which is where the money goes to the players, as of right now, that just so you know, the current contracts, looks like the SEC contract money that goes to the schools versus the ACC. There is a gulf, of course. There is a clear divider there. That's why we're trying to leave this godforsaken conference. But most of the NIL money is not coming from that amount of that money directly. It's coming from donations to the NIL organizations, that the multiple NIL collectives that we have and other teams have. And so if your argument is Mike Norvell can't recruit because we don't have the money, well, NIL is a very recent and new thing. And before NIL was really big, he still couldn't recruit the high school ranks. So he wasn't able to do it before NIL was a big deal. You can't do it now that NIL is a really big deal. And I promise you, the amount of money that our collective takes in versus some of the other big teams is very competitive. I know that I don't have a lot of inside information, but that's one of the few things I do know for a fact, that we are competitive money-wise in our collective for the elite of the elite players out there. The problem is, if you are a 4 or 5 star player in high school, yes, you want the money, you want the bag, right? That they all talk about it. But you also, if possible, you would like the money and win. And so if Florida State says, we'll match what Ohio State wants to give you, I'm going, guys, if I'm a high school player, I'm going to Ohio State. Unless I'm like a diehard Knoll that my dad went there and I love the university, which is not that many of these players out there, right? As Florida State fans, as tough as it is to hear, we're not right now, as far as outlook of how many wins we could get if you are coming here as a player. We could match Georgia, Ohio State, Florida, all Clemson in NIL money. And it wouldn't matter because the kids will probably pick the NIL money plus wins. So thanks for writing in, Joe. Bob S. 410 writes, stay in Thomasville. Drive is not as bad and much better prices. I agree with that. Thomasville is not a bad option. Not of a ton of places to stay in Thomasville. Like there are places, a lot of Urbos and Airbnbs. But if you look, even those are higher, much higher than they normally would be. So it's like, yeah, you got to stay in Thomasville. You got to make the drive. And it's $300 a night, which is much higher than they usually are. But yes, I get your point. Let's see. I love this one. I don't know about this season. I don't either, but I appreciate your comment. Um, I'm really worried about this season. And to answer your question about recruiting, the problem with recruiting is what I just said. The money's there, but we haven't won. Last year we went 2-10. What is your selling point now? If money is even, let's say you right there, I offered you, hey, Vince is going to pay you $10 and I'm going to pay you $10. You pick who do you want to hang out with tonight. And Vince says, well, if you come and hang out with me, um, we're going to have a great night together. It's going to be a lot of fun. Instead of games, maybe like, hey, we're going to have a really good time. We're going to, everything we do, the weather's going to be perfect and everything's going to work out that day. And we're going to have a lot of fun. And I tell you, well, I'll pay you $10 too. I'm not really sure how the weather's going to be. I'm not really sure what we're going to do, but we should have fun. I think we will. I hope we will. You're going to go with Vince. Vince has fun every time he goes out. Vince always has beautiful weather. I'm pitching a dream of maybe it will be great, but maybe it could be bad because you've just seen it be bad. That's the problem in recruiting right now. All right. Let's get to random topic. Random topic of discussion. So, this is an interesting one. I talked a little bit last week about the ESPN direct to streaming model of how they're doing the streaming model where you can, coming this fall, you'll be able to pay ESPN to have all their streaming rights, right? All their channels, including SEC and ACC network and ABC on ESPN. And it is perfect for someone like me who doesn't want any of their cable channels, but has to get it every year because he has to watch football. Well, now I don't have to pay $100 or $120 a month for cable. I can just pay $39.99 a month for just what I want. And that's great. But it does bring up a larger question. How do you guys feel about the current situation of streaming? Because I'm not as old as Vince, not yet. I'm 37. So half my life, I'm like they call us the elder millennials, which means I remember a time before the internet and before modern technology. And then I grew up in the modern technology. Like a good example is when I was in middle school, all the way through halfway through high school, we didn't have any, like no one had a cell phone. There was no Facebook. There was no MySpace. Like it was just like, if you went online, it was dial up. And when I was in elementary school and earlier, like the only computer I had was like a compact Presario with a floppy disk, and it could play like word games. So I didn't have all of the technology, but what we did have, and everyone had, a lot of people did, was cable. And cable was expensive. I remember back then, I think my dad told me like back then cable would be like $100 to $250 a month, especially if you had like the home phone and which I did up until high school. Home phone, the internet, the whole nine yards. Especially when cable internet was like the game changer. Like when you got 100 meg download, it was like great. Um, and the whole idea of streaming is like, man, someday we'll be able to have streaming services, and you can just a la carte pick the channels you want and pay a fraction of the cost. And I think what a lot of people thought it would end up being is like you would, I don't know if for all the youngsters out there, if anyone is younger than 30, what you used to get when you were comparing, hey, what cable plan you want to get, is there would be a TV lineup thing that you could print out, and it would have like all the channels and then little check boxes next to it, and then it would be like, with this plan, here are the channels, and then if you get this plan, check more check boxes, and then if you got the deluxe plan, the $200 plan, you get all the check boxes. You can get like HBO and Cinemax. Okay. And so I think what a lot of people, including me, thought streaming would eventually be back then was take away all the boxes, all the check marks, and like, hey, I want this channel, check mark, $2, this one, $2, $2, and like you might add up to $50, but you got everything you want. That was the dream. The term cord cutting was like, man, when Netflix first hit, you're like, okay, this is the first thing, but eventually Netflix will have whatever channel I want, and it'll be great. But what we didn't account for is greed and um, non. I expected a lot of buyouts to happen, meaning companies merge and have all the rights to all these shows. And it didn't happen. So what you have is Paramount Plus and Hulu and Disney and Fox and every single one of these old networks that was on cable has their own streaming services, and all of them are at minimum, even the cheapest ones, like $10 a month. Most of them are more expensive. And so what I thought the check boxes would be adding up to 50. Well, now if you get, I'll go over my streaming services right now. My streaming services, just going based on memory, I have Apple TV Plus, because the problem with all these streaming services is they all have a show I really like, or two, like Apple TV Plus. Now, the thing about Apple TV Plus is I bundle my iCloud subscription, so my storage, I get like the 200 or 2 terabytes of storage plus, so it save a little money on the bundling. But TV Plus, they have some really good shows. For All of Mankind is one of the shows I like. Severance. So I actually like a lot of the Apple TV Plus shows. So I'm like, great, that's awesome. Disney Plus. Well, I'm not a guy, guys. I've never been an ads guy, and I have a 4K OLED, and I want to make use of it. So I pay for the 4K no ads version of Disney Plus, and I have the bundle: Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu. Okay, so that's 29, I think, a month. And then I have, because we get our groceries, if any of you are a Walmart customer, I hate going into Walmart. So we'll either do a Walmart delivery, or we'll go and park in a little parking spot and they bring out your groceries. Well, that's called Walmart Plus, where you don't have to pay fees for the delivery or pickup. It's like you can do that as much as you want, and it'll be ready really quickly, like within the same day. And that comes with Paramount Plus. Okay, so Walmart Plus is 20 something dollars, and it comes with Paramount Plus. Then we have Netflix. It's like the one subscription that I'll never get rid of, because it has it does have a ton of content on it. And then I pay for YouTube with no ads, because I hate ads and I love YouTube. And to be honest with you, more and more in the last 2 years, I watch more YouTube than I do any other streaming service. I have so many podcasts and shows I watch on YouTube. And then you throw in like Apple Music or Spotify, right? And before you know it, you add all these up and you're like the exact same price or more than cable. The only thing, and when people add these up, they say, well, you might as well just get cable. Yes, but let's say hypothetically I went with Spectrum, which is the cable provider here, or maybe you're a Comcast subscriber. Sure, you do that. Let's say you do that. Well, if you're anywhere but at home, their streaming apps suck. Comcast streaming apps, the Xfinity, whatever, Go app sucks. The Spectrum streaming app sucks. I've used them; they're not good. And so it's still better to have those individual streaming services where all their apps function really well, and you can even play like 1080p or 4K when you're in a hotel. You just log all the time. I go to a hotel or someone else's house and I log into their TV. Don't worry, I always erase the account before I leave. I log into the hotel with my Netflix, my YouTube, and I got all my shows. And I'm, especially if you're traveling alone, like for work or something, it's great. You can just keep watching your shows. That convenience still outweighs having cable. So, what do you guys think? Do you still go the old cable route, or do you go the streaming route and have all the same problems I have, where you look at your bill at the end of the month and you're like, good Lord, I am paying over $100 a month just for streaming apps. It's a real problem. And then you add on the random ones, like Vince will be like, Ryan, the new Walking Dead show is on the spinoff show. Well, that's AMC Plus or whatever the hell. I'm like, so I literally will get that just to watch for 3 weeks, pile drive all the spinoff show, and then cancel it. Because you run out of those free trials real quick. But what do you guys think? What's better? Was the cable model better? And despite the prices, or is the streaming services better? Let's see. Let's bring some of these comments up here. Streaming service is getting out of control. There has to be a paradigm shift. There's not going to be. The only paradigm shift I could see happening is the problem is you get into anti-competitive laws. So like I could see like Disney, man, what if they wanted to buy, Paramount and Fox or something? But I don't think the government would allow that because then they're getting too big and you're getting to a monopoly and that kind of thing. So the only way this gets any better is if one company kind of owned everything, but that would never happen. And this Tim, who's a member, thank you for being a member. He remembers the cable companies when the cable companies said you can't do a la carte. I remember that too. You had to have all or nothing. If you wanted HBO, you better get HBO and Cinemax. VC Noel in the chat, Vince. I hope you're proud of me. I showed up. I didn't do a 10-minute show. I'm doing the full show. I hope you're enjoying the dinner or the team lead dinner if you're still there. So, this is a good point. YouTube TV. Yes, so for a cable subscription replacement, if you want a cable TV replacement, YouTube TV, I can tell you guys, is the best. By far, it's not even close. The app is amazing. You can do 4-screen multi-view for sports. Really good mobile app. So if you're like on the go and you want to watch a game, amazing. It is very expensive for sports, especially if you want to add like goal line and all the other stuff, the sports package. It's in 4K and multiple screens and all the other nonsense. It is very expensive, but YouTube TV for the cable replacements is my favorite, and it's what I have been doing up until ESPN just announced that coming this fall, you'll be able to do sports directly through them. And the ESPN app for streaming is actually really nice and works pretty well. All right, Tim, no cable since 2017. Oh, man, when did I last have cable? It was probably around that time, Tim, 2016, 2017. It was when I lived in Tallahassee. I had Comcast like everyone did because in Tallahassee, it's like a monopoly there. You can't get anything else. Yeah. Vince, I appreciate that. Super proud of Big Papa East doing the show. Although I think it is time, guys, to head into Memorial Day weekend. Hey, what is, for all of you out there, summertime specific? I think all of us will agree, or many of us, that Memorial Day is a time for adult beverages. It's hot out, so sometimes those things kind of don't mix real well. I tell you what, this is a hot take, and a lot of people will think I'm ridiculous. I'm not a beer guy in the summer. I know that's like all the commercials, all the shows. It's like, oh man, it's so hot out. I'm going to go in the garage and I'm going to, with my shirt off, and I'm going to grab a beer, and man, I'm going to stand in that driveway and I'm going to drink that Mick Ultra, right? Summertime beer, it makes me feel hotter. It's bubbly. I know, other issues happening there. My summertime drink is honestly like high noon, a truly, something, maybe a sangria, a red sangria, something that's like over ice or a mixed cocktail that's nice and cool, not too bubbly. Even like if it has a fruity flavor and it's over ice, it's good. I don't do beer in the summertime. What do all you guys drink for? What are you drinking this weekend? I took Friday off, tomorrow off, so I'm pairing it with Monday and having a 4-day weekend. Oh, Poppy. Yeah, someone mentions Poppy. So Poppy is the all-natural soda that I haven't tried it yet. Believe it or not, I know, hey, I'm a big dude. What you guys would be shocked to know about this, Vince knows this about me, but not many people do. And my doctor looks at me like I am lying to him. Because I don't drink sodas. Like, I don't buy sodas. If I'm at someone's house and they say, hey, would you like a Diet Coke? Yeah, sure, I'll have a Diet Coke. But I'm not buying them. I don't drink sweet tea. The only thing I drink in my house all day long, start to finish, I have water or coffee with just half and half in it. I don't need to do like flavored creamers. I hate the flavored creamers for coffee. So half and half with coffee or water. And when I tell the doctor that, as a large man, I can see behind those eyes that he's like, you son of a bitch, you're lying. No way. He probably thinks I go to Sonny's and get 6 sweet teas and got my sodies at home. Ain't happening. And I'm not even like a candy guy. I don't keep candy at the house. So if there anyone out there, let me tell you something. Tell me what I think all it is lack of activity and portion size for me. I drink nothing but water all day long or coffee. I don't eat like candy unless it's like Easter Day or some kind of holiday or Christmas time. Um, but what I do, I don't even have a big breakfast. My problem is, guys, two things: wine and whiskey. Wine has a lot of sugar in it, and I like wine a lot, and I'll drink a whole bottle of it sometimes. Whiskey or any mixed drink, sugars and stuff in there, and then portion sizes for dinner. Guys, if I go to a restaurant, I don't know why this is only at dinner time, not breakfast, not at lunch. When I'm browsing the menu, in my head, I cannot not factor in like what's a big portion size. I want a big portion. I don't get the 8-ounce steak. I get the 16-ounce tomahawk. Uh, I get the you know the heavier stuff, and then I go home, and an hour later I'm in bed. So it's like I'll go to dinner, have a big ass dinner, 2 3 glasses of wine, and then I just go to bed. And so Tim, I think you're right. Tim says don't eat after 7. I think that's my problem. Is that night I'm eating a big portion with alcohol sometimes, and I'm going to bed and it's just sitting there. But here's what pisses me off is that, and I know that's a lot of genetics involved in everything. Guys, I eat friends that eat like 16,000 times better than me. There's a guy we used to work with, Tim. You're still here, Justin. I won't say his full last name. Old recruiter at iVenture. The guy was skinny as a rail. He would bring an entire meatloaf for lunch, a whole meatloaf, like an entire meatloaf, and like 6 pounds of mashed potato, and would eat it all in one sitting, and then would be like snacking around the office. And then he said he would eat that same amount of stuff at night, and he was in his mid 40s. And I'm just looking at him eating this entire meatloaf by himself with all this mashed potato. And then I'm like, so far today, I've had sous vide egg bites and a cup of coffee, and I am 200 pounds more than him. It doesn't seem fair, guys. That's all. That's my only point. It doesn't seem fair. Some people now, Tim's laughing at that because he knows exactly who I'm talking about. Now, my point to him, because this guy would point it out, like I can eat whatever I want. However, one year we both got our labs done. Where you get your full blood drawn. When you get your full blood drawn, uh, Justin had like all kinds of like red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. And believe it or not, still to this day, when I get my full blood work done, not diabetic, no high like crazy indicators or any red flags. The doctor's always like, yeah, blood works great. So what I always said is he's dying on the inside. You just can't see the fat. He's a fat kid, but in his organs, it just all sits on me on the outside, but my organs are healthy. So I got that going for me, which is nice. But I'll end on that, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Oh, I had to bring this up. Yeah, Vince. Uh, this guy would bring his lunch, like a whole meatloaf, in a Ziploc bag, like a gallon bag. And he wouldn't put it in the fridge when he got to work. He would put it in his desk drawer at like 7 in the morning and then eat it at 1. We would bring in Chick-fil-A sometimes, biscuits, and he would eat a biscuit and then put one in his drawer, and the next day would come in and eat that chicken biscuit the next day. And we'd be like, Justin, you're going to get sick. And he's like, that's a lie. The government tells you. He was insane. But it's been fun, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Vince, hopefully I did you proud. Another episode of Garnet and Old. No inside info. No contacts. No problem. Guys, have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. And remember the meaning behind it. And as always, screw ESPN and go Noles.